What's up, folks? Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling this week. As we get going here. And there we go. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope you're having a good week. Tonight, Justin will be back. He's not here, but that's, it's because it's straight up 8 o'clock. He doesn't show up till 5 after or 10 after or whatever. We will recap, as Simon Miller loves to do, WWE's horror show at Extreme Rules, which I've said before. I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 next year. I have watched wrestling for 4 decades. That might be the weirdest. I won't say the worst, because I had some good stuff. But that might be the weirdest wrestling pay-per-view that I have ever seen. I don't know. I really, by the time I was finished, I had no clue. And in fact, I had to laugh. So just for sake of curiosity, I went online and checked out some of the post shows from different outlets. Wrestling Inc., their guys were doing it. Well, Culture, of course. I found the Figure 4 Weekly Wrestling Observer with Brian Alvarez and Vinny, I forget his last name, and Lance Storm, who was there. It was good to see Lance Storm. And they had me rolling with laughter, especially when they decided to recap the Wyatt Swamp fight. All of a sudden, throat got dry. No, I do not have the Rona. Because that Swamp fight was, I mean, that was just bizarre. Doesn't even cover it. I don't know what kind of weed they grow in Florida, but boy, those riders in Bray, boy, they must have had an extra large dose of it. That's all I can figure. So, yeah, just weird and goofy. Get a drink here. Get some iced tea. All right, that might be better. I'm gonna put that. Hopefully, I don't kill everything. And it was interesting because the night before, Impact Wrestling had Slammiversary, there was a lot of buzz because of, everybody's trying to figure out who was going to show up. You knew, I guess Friday, Saturday, midnight, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, had announced they signed with Impact, and they did their podcast from there. So that was so you knew they were going to be there, and you had ideas of who might show up, but didn't know for sure. But all in all, it was a fine pay-per-view. Some good surprises. Not only did we see former WWE talent show up, even saw a couple former TNA talent that hasn't been in WWE, although Alex Shelley did spend a brief moment in NXT. But yeah, saw the Motor City Machine Guns come back. That was really neat. So nice little taste of nostalgia there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we got a few other little notes. This is gonna be there's no podcast only segment this week. Just because there just isn't enough to warrant more than the usual 45 minutes that we put on the horn. So, but all in all, it was just, I heard somebody's talking about, if you had decided on Sunday, for the first time ever, and you never watched wrestling before, you say, I'm going to check out what this pro wrestling thing is all about. And you tuned in to WWE Network, and you watched what transpired there, I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of all wrestling fans, all of us that talk about wrestling, write about wrestling, whatever. I promise that's not representative of the business. And it brings up a lot of different debates about what pro wrestling is in 2020, and not just. I mean, and we're not talking just the pandemic. I'm talking about in general, because there's, like, for instance, there's debates even among wrestlers, between calling it a sport versus calling it a business. A lot of the old timers call it a sport. Everybody nowadays calls it a business. And I think there are connotations from that. I think there are certain expectations depending on which term you use. So, there's the talk. There's thoughts of WWE doesn't put a whole lot of weight on championships. They won't call them belts. They'll call them titles or championships, but they won't call them belts. But the way they treat some of them, sometimes you wonder. You wonder if they're props, if they mean anything. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff. It's just, like I said, it was interesting. Meanwhile, let's see what else. There's a few other things. The sports side, because we've said before, we love wrestling, but it's not all we do. Justin and I are both in sports media. Both of us involved in high school football, for instance. Justin does games for different outlets. I'm the sideline reporter for the Lake Travis Cavaliers that you hear on the Horn during the fall. And we got word today from the UIL, which is the governing body for the state of Texas, that the fall sports will start at different times depending on what classification. So the bigger schools, are in Texas, for those of you outside of Texas, classifications go from 1A to 6A. 6A is the biggest, 1A is the smallest. And in fact, football, 1A is basically, it's six-man football. Those are the really small towns. So they have said that basically for the schools that are in 4A and below, seasons will start on time. The practice starts at the beginning of August. First game will start, that last Thursday, Friday of August. Depending on, of course, what local health authority says as far as, schools opening and all that good stuff. 5A and 6A, the bigger schools, won't start for a month after that. So practices start, I think, September 7th. And then the first game the first week where games could happen would be, I believe it's that 24th, 25th of September, something like that. So, and of course that affects a lot of things. Scheduling, so on and so forth. Now, so a school like Lake Travis, you would think likely it just means keep the schedule. You just push everything 4 weeks. So instead of season opener being at Arlington Martin on August 28th, the season opener at Arlington Martin will now be September, I think it's 24th. And then it's going down the line. But for, say, 5A teams who might schedule a couple of 4A schools, in their non-district play, now they're scrambling to find new opponents because they can't play them because the 4A schools will start earlier. Oh, and by the way, this is all contingent on whatever city or county you're in, whether schools are even allowed to let people on campus. Like, for instance, in Travis County, where Austin is, all the schools that are located within Travis County cannot allow on-site instruction or anything until I think it's like mid-September. So that affects the practicing. Like as I said, high school football conditioning supposed to start around September. I think it's 7th. It's whatever right after Labor Day. Well, you can't get on campus, so what happens? And you've got the competition districts that cross county lines, like the district that has Lake Travis, Westlake, the powers of the area. Well, that district crosses into Hayes County. It crosses south. Take in Hayes High School, San Marcos High School. So what does Hayes County do? It's gonna be nuts, and I am glad I don't work for the UIL because I would not want to be in that position to try to figure all that stuff out. I mean, by the way, we still have to figure out, college football, the NFL. Last I saw, the NFL, they've basically wiped out the preseason. There will not be a preseason game. There will be, I think they've agreed to daily testing. That was something the Players Association has demanded. They're working on how many people you can carry on your roster because they're expecting there will be active players that won't participate because of the risk, whether they have family or whatever, So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. College football, we still don't know. We've got. We still have yet to hear from the Big 12, the SEC, ACC. They're expected to make a decision sometime before the end of the month, but what that decision is, we know the Pac-12 and the Big 10 have said they're going to play conference games only, which, okay, that's fine, but it still means you got to travel a lot. So,
I think I've seen Miracle.
Yeah.
But I can't say if I have seen it all the way through, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it like on cable.
Yeah.
Or like some Saturday.
I've not seen Miracle, but I saw the actual game.
Yeah,
so
but see, I didn't see
the Winter Olympics, Lake Placid. So, well, this should be fun because I gotta hear your reaction to Extreme Rules.
Oh, it was amazing, wasn't it?
Of course, you'd say that.
I was thinking about that on the drive here. Apparently, big thanks again to our friends over at Fight TV. But apparently, the pay-per-view to watch this past weekend was Slammiversary.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was surprised how good it was.
Fantastic.
Really, really good.
Never mind just the surprises, which there were a few.
Yeah, I don't know when you want to touch on that, but
we'll hit it. I think I've got it slated for the second segment, but
okay.
But we'll definitely go through it.
Yeah, obviously that was really good, but Extreme Rules, we kind of got a payoff. Did we get a payoff?
I don't know. Some stuff. I tell you what.
Okay,
let's start the show. Let's start the show, and let's go.
Did you get a payoff?
Did you? We'll ask you. So we're going to start the show. Go through the intro, and we'll ask the tough question. Did you get a payoff from Extreme Rules? So here we go.
This is EC3, and you are listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
When they're not covering the sports world, they're talking about the world of professional wrestling.
It's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Now, with Justin Simmons, here's Stu Myrick.
It is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick and my tag team partner is back. Welcome back, Justin the Smash Simmons. I know I still got to alter it, but
no. Thank you for having me back. What was I going to tell you, Stu? Oh yeah, I got it now. I got it. It's good to be back. My eye, it was blinded, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to see ever again. That's why I had to take last week off. But now, through miracles of a medical facility, I can now see.
Did you have globe luxation?
Globalization?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
There you go. So we were talking about before we started the show. Was there a payoff to the horror show at Extreme Rules?
That was great.
Well, I had to borrow that from Simon Miller from What Culture. That's the payoff. We all got to learn what globe luxation is.
Globalization. Okay.
It's when your eyeball comes out of your socket.
Should I give credit to the fact that somebody went through the trouble to look that up? Or at least come up with the word?
Somebody did, and Charlie Caruso, the professional that she is, told us all during the medical update
with a straight face.
When Rey Mysterio was taken to the local medical facility, because we can't say hospital.
I know.
So
that's where I was, local medical facility.
So, by the way, huge thanks to Dustin Rhodes for joining me last week. The talk that we had about him starting his new wrestling school, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy.
Have
you seen the logo now?
Yes, it's awesome. I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, do they need broadcasters for when they have their little school matches?
I bet you we might get a phone call.
Can I get back into managing? Can I've never been a manager, actually.
I bet you we can make that happen.
Can Dustin be my tag team partner like we discussed last time? The D-Dog, J-Dog thing?
We may be able to do that. You two be the tag team. I'll be the manager.
You're going to be like, what's his name? Number 1 Paul Jones?
Yes. I'll wear the hat and everything.
Yes.
Carry the riding crop.
Yes. In the ruffle shirt, because it was like the 70s.
Yes, that's true. He did wear the ruffle shirt. Oh, I love Paul Jones.
He was good, underrated.
He was one of the best wrestlers in the Mid-Atlantic area at that time, too.
Yeah.
And he made that seamless transition to becoming a manager.
Yeah, I knew him.
And managed some of the best.
I knew him more as manager before I went back, and I was like, oh, he was a good wrestler, too.
I had seen, like, the tail end of his wrestling career.
Okay.
So, but I knew he had been.
One of these days, we'll have to have a talk about underrated managers that the kids just don't know anymore. Because, I didn't really grow up with managers. That was more of a 70s, 80s thing.
My list starts with Skandar Akbar. He was the textbook heel manager. If you watched any wrestling somewhere in the Southwest United States, and especially what we used to call the Arklatex. So that was
is this like global?
That was Northeast Texas, Northeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Arkansas. Because Akbar would go back. He stayed mainly in world class, but he would occasionally make his way to Mid-South Wrestling.
Okay.
So, and in fact, let's see, I think he was the original manager of the Rat Pack, which had among its members Ted DiBiase, long before the $1 Million Man, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I know, and then that's when they had the big angle where they turn against each other.
Yes, absolutely. And we're talking about all that because even that made sense compared to what we saw Sunday night.
Good tie-in. Yeah, it was
okay.
hard
So I want to get your impressions of Extreme Rules.
The women's match was exciting. So Sasha versus Asuka.
It was great wrestling. Fantastic. The finish was straight out of 2000 WCW Thunder.
Yeah, but I also saw this in 1992 WCW, so I can take this.
That's what I'm saying. It's straight out of bad WCW booking.
Yeah, but it's like as long as there's a payoff, it'll be okay.
Well, the payoff won't come until next week.
Exactly.
Because we saw on Raw that Stephanie McMahon has basically said they're going to have a rematch.
I'm okay with this, though.
Well, see, I have a slight problem with it because if you're going to have a rematch, why didn't you? I mean, this is one of those stories that didn't need 2 more weeks of extending.
I know, but we're in a situation where you have to utilize those 2 weeks and just kind of really stretch it out.
They got to fill. Time.
Their whole roster still isn't really available to them.
Right. It seems like every week when you're watching Raw or SmackDown, or at least every couple weeks, they've been taping, a couple weeks worth of shows. It's like, okay, let's check who's there and who's not. So, and then on top of that, this was allegedly Kairi Sane's last appearances on Raw. I assume we'll see her next week because they've taped it.
It's kind of
she's going to head back to Japan.
It's kind of hard for me to really judge a pay-per-view like Extreme Rules because pay-per-views are essentially like we all have the network. We're going to pay for it anyway.
Right.
So they're just giving us an extra show because we pay for the network.
Right.
That's kind of like the way I see it. It's like, ooh, a Sunday night show once a month. It's kind of like Saturday night main event.
Extreme Rules, for me, it was filled with good wrestling.
The wrestling was good.
There was, I can't think of a match where there was like just mediocre wrestling.
I mean, like even the match between Ray and Seth was fun to watch. I mean, I understood the stipulation was kind of funny. Did you appreciate the puke?
The puke was kind of funny.
Did that sell it for you?
And all I could hear is Vince McMahon talking about Darren Drozdoff, you know, the tryout where he goes into the boardroom and Vince starts exclaiming, "He's gonna puke," you know.
Oh, I'm sure that Vince really liked it then.
But that's what I'm saying. The wrestling itself was fine. It's the finishes in at least 3 of the matches that had you going. I mean, when you saw it, you were thinking, well, my health fight.
I don't know what I just saw.
Yeah, it would make you think that. Like the pre-show match. Pre-show match was fantastic.
For a pre-show match, yeah, it was really well.
You know, Kevin Owens has been in a just this groove, and Murphy has been serving himself up as the lackey or whatever, and he's doing his job really well, and I commend both of them. So great match there. The Cesaro and Shinsuke winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles, that was a good match. By the way, congratulations, Cesaro is actually winning matches. Remember, there was a stretch where he couldn't win a singles match or a tag team match to save his life.
That's true.
They're finally booking him to win some stuff.
They're letting them win things, which is fun to see, though.
So I'm happy for him. And even the Bayley and Nikki Cross was good.
Yeah, it was nice.
That was classic heel.
Yeah,
that was classic heel stuff. Bayley using it for an object to get the win.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
good
a good
with that.
Physical match. Yeah. Nikki Cross is always physical.
You wonder. Do you think Nikki Cross is going to revert back to her like insanity?
Maybe at some point.
Character. It seems like they're starting to push her that way.
I'm trying to figure out what role that it is that she's supposed to be filling, because everybody has to fill a role, and it doesn't matter, men, female, whichever like division it is. There's always she's been
the tag partner for Alexa Bliss for a while.
Yeah, and there has to be a turn at some point.
Well,
right?
see, that's kind of the funny thing, because we all thought it was going to be Alexa. When that tag team first formed, everybody thought Alexa was going to turn on Nikki.
Of course, it makes sense.
Now, it's starting to feel like maybe Nikki turns on Alexa.
Which would be amazing. I think
totally unexpected.
Because either way, a turn works for me. And it's like, even if it came back and then Alexa just did it out of nowhere, I would still buy it.
Yeah.
So either way, I like the dynamics of what's being told there. What about Ruby Riott getting a win?
On Monday Night Raw? That was good.
Is this one of those times where Raw was actually better than the pay-per-view that preceded it? Because I thought it was.
It was. Yeah. Let me ask you this. Let's go through the pay-per-view. Finish the pay-per-view real quick, though. So you said Seth and Ray. You know, and there was talk it was going to be a CGI thing or whatever. When it actually
Are
just
you disappointed that it wasn't? I'm kind of disappointed that
only because it was basically a bloody ping pong ball.
Yeah,
I mean that's all it was.
God, that eye looks stale.
It's great. And Samoa Joe, it's out.
I know. I'm like, oh man, he has to sell.
And then right after that, Seth starts puking. That was just.
But it's like B-rated horror movie.
It was. It really was.
And it's just like I guess. I don't know. I mean, I really figured that they could have done something better. They have a fantastic production crew. I figured we would have seen something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pre-taped.
Now, allegedly, if you believe the rumor and innuendos from different sources, allegedly they had taped a finish that used CGI. Vince didn't like it, and that's why it changed to just a painted ping pong ball.
Because they kind of painted themselves into a corner.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt there was no way it was going to be able to be graphic enough to satisfy the ending. So it had to be cheesy.
You had to make it cheesy because again, it's not.
But it wasn't over the top cheesy enough for me. That's all
Right,
I'm saying.
it
So it was like, I was expecting more.
It was lazy cheesy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the best way
At
to
least
put
make it Bray Wyatt like replica belt cheesy, you know?
Yeah. Asuka Sasha Banks.
Great match.
Great match. The finish where Asuka hits the ref by mistake with the mist. That wasn't really a mist. Later, I've seen replays where they CGI some mist.
Okay, so they could CGI mist, but they couldn't CGI the eyeball.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. But the mist didn't spray like it was supposed to for whatever reason. And then, was it Bayley hits Asuka with one of the title belts?
Yep.
Takes the referee's shirt off the ref, puts it on herself, counts out Asuka. Bayley, and then grabs the Raw Championship belt and gives it to Sasha. And you're going, what?
But I was okay with that because we hadn't seen that in like forever.
No,
and
it
was a really heelish thing to do.
That was
like, wow, she's like really pushing it now. Like, what's the deal?
I think part of the problem is that we have seen WWE in the past where they would actually recognize that, which then would have been like, okay, so then I guess the refs don't matter anymore. Let's not have the refs.
But it made everything important. It made Raw important because now we needed the answer. So I had to watch Raw because I needed to know what the answer was.
Sure, okay, but I guess I see that. And of course that as we said, Monday night on Raw. Bayley Sasha comes out and Stephanie McMahon shows up on the screen. And says,
one time it's okay to have an executive figure.
This was the one time they needed it.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't let it happen like every night.
Don't make this a weekly thing. But
this one time, this was like we needed a Jack Tunney moment.
That's
in
exactly
this case,
what I was thinking
Stephanie
about.
McMahon.
We needed a Jack Tunney.
So they have set up the rematch.
Gorilla Monsoon.
Now, I'm still unclear as to who the champion is right now.
It's Asuka.
It should be Asuka. Right. Because Stephanie said, Sasha didn't win the match, but neither did Asuka. Well, but then
that would be
it's champion's advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, that's
Asuka keeps the belt because she was not pinned or she did not submit.
But it's okay because
this wasn't a no DQ match.
But now we're going to find an answer the following week because it's no stipulation, or like you can win even with a DQ.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
So we'll have a allegedly again, and I guess because they need to fill time. McIntyre and Ziggler, that was fine. It was a little. You didn't have much expectation going into it because you knew no matter what, Drew was coming out with the championship.
I liked the idea of the stipulation where it was no closed fist, but the fact that he punched him and then there wasn't even like a hey. No closed fist.
Well, that was. I mean, there was a lot of. Yeah, it was all sorts of stuff that happened, but in the end, Drew McIntyre is still the WWE champion, and he's given Dolph again. I guess another case of we need to fill time, so we're going to give Dolph another rematch. Except this time, Drew gets to pick the stip, and he's not going to announce it until right before the bell rings.
I'm okay with that.
Sure. All right. The Wyatt Swamp fight.
Wait. Apollo Crews?
Yeah, did you? Yeah. So
you okay with that though?
Well, the explanation was screwy because you're saying he got injured 4 weeks ago by Lashley putting him in full Nelson, but we saw him 2 weeks ago in the ring. So why could he be in the ring 2 weeks later, but he can't do the pay-per-view?
Because it was taped.
It was taped after the.
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to make
Now, look, I'll be honest. I think everybody thinks he tested positive.
I'm pretty sure he did.
And contrary to what WWE believes is if it has something to do with that, let's find a way to say that. Don't insult the fans' intelligence.
Pretty much. I'm with you on that.
So. All right, the Wyatt Swamp fight. I don't know what kind of weed they grow in Florida, but Bray and the writers must have had like 2 kilos each of it. Because that was, good Lord.
Were you not entertained?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. We had Braun getting hit with a shovel by Braun. We had Sister Abigail lifting her veil and revealing herself to be Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, which was kind of weird, wasn't it?
Oh, that was weird. Braun being, quote, chained down to a rocking chair where it looked like he could have slipped out of there pretty easily.
Yeah.
You had some carport awning looking thing that was decorated in Christmas lights. I mean,
and
who knew the swamp was the lake of reincarnation from the Hardy compound?
Yeah, I was wondering where they got the idea from, but who knew?
I mean, how they might as well have said it was a dilapidated boat. It was Skarsgård that Braun sent Bray off in. Matt Hardy needs to get a stipend from
needs
the
like a writing credit.
Yes, he needs writing credit and some money because they came right out of the Hardy compound.
Pretty much, right?
Because and then Wyatt is in the swamp, comes back as the Fiend. Like I said, Lake of Reincarnation.
So what happens to Braun?
That's a good question.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
Is he at a medical facility?
They didn't say. That's the thing.
He gave us the Sopranos
ending. We don't know. We just know that that the Fiend pulls Braun into the swamp. You see bubble, 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 and the very end, everything turns red. By the way, we got to remember that everything's red because you can't have the Fiend without everything being stinking red. Damn. And then at the very end, the Fiend pops out, has that gaze. You hear the laughter, and then we fade to black.
Kind of gave us the Soprano ending.
So where's Braun? That's going to be the question. Do we find out Friday night on SmackDown?
Probably, and Braun might be a Wyatt family member again.
At this point, it wouldn't surprise me. So you go to Monday night. We mentioned the rematch.
But my question is:
yes.
Is he a cult leader again, or is he still like Mr. Rogers? It's like all that dead now. It's like
I think it's what we talked about. This is their version of the Three Faces of Foley. It's the Three Faces of Wyatt.
Okay, so he gets to use all three.
Because remember, we saw a Firefly Funhouse earlier in the night, where he was going to show the most horrific piece of footage ever, and they showed the karaoke thing from a couple weeks ago on SmackDown.
I was going to say they weren't necessarily wrong.
No, they weren't. Believe me. Brian Fritz and I had a lot of fun with the karaoke thing.
But I will say, yeah, I mean, you're right. We came up with that theory of the Three Faces of Foley, and maybe that's Bray's thing now, and I'm okay with that because it's like it's weird, it's trippy.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be quasi Undertaker, so this is the closest you're gonna get, and
I guess
you need to have somebody that fills that void, I suppose.
I guess.
Which reminds me, Undertaker, another next ride. Another last ride.
Did you see the episode? The stories? It was neat. It was just road stories.
Oh, okay.
Stuff about him drinking whiskey with certain individuals. He and the Godfather fighting over. Godfather tried to give Taker his hat, and Undertaker wouldn't take it, and they got into a little scuffle in the hotel room while they were drinking whiskey, of course.
Well, yeah.
Apparently, Undertaker loves Jack Daniels, which
that doesn't surprise me.
That's good. That's all good. A couple of returns on Raw Monday night. Shelton Benjamin.
Who knew?
Shelton Benjamin's still around and pinned R-Truth. He's now the 24/7 champion. Now he's part of Hurt Business with MVP and Lashley.
I am saddened with the fact that R-Truth is no longer 24/7
he'll get it
champion
back.
Because, I mean...
We got to get him to that 40 title reign.
I know, seriously. He's super entertaining on social media, but it's good to see that Shelton Benjamin's on TV and they have something for him.
Yes.
I like the stable.
I like Shelton Benjamin. I do. Also, Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, good to see him back.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. Coming back to help Ricochet and Cedric Alexander.
That was really cool. That was really, really cool.
Although, I guess we have just basically decided to give up on the hacker angle because everybody was thinking he was going to be the hacker that was on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll see.
Maybe it's for somebody else.
By the way, Why was Ron Simmons backstage at Raw?
Why not?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Ron Simmons. He's a Florida guy.
Yeah.
His number's retired by Florida State when he played football there, but that was kind of random.
That's the whole point.
Now
of Ron Simmons.
I've heard that there's talk they want to do a Nation of Domination 2.0. I'm going now. I don't think that's it.
I don't know. I'll be
And
surprised.
if it is, I don't know.
I'd be surprised if they try to go that route, especially in this current political climate. I'd be really interested to see.
Yeah, I would be too.
But that's the way pro wrestling's always been. It always exploits what's going on in the world and kind of just takes it to an extreme, whether it's right or wrong. Let's just admit that's.
Yeah, so like for instance, the bar fight with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus that was supposed to be on Extreme Rules.
Oh yeah.
But it's coming up. It got pushed to this week's SmackDown.
So
Which I hope to God that's it. Let's have Hardy go over.
Wow. So
finish this angle because I don't like the angle to begin with. The storyline I think is very distasteful.
It's all like, wow, they feel that the storyline's okay for like network TV.
I guess I don't know. All in all, just a weird week for WWE.
Well, let me ask you this: were you entertained by the pay-per-view?
I think so, but
like, do you want your time back?
Some of it, yeah. Although it didn't last that long. It was only like what 240.
Yeah,
240. So that wasn't too bad.
It was
There's a
easily
positive.
digestible, but
So.
there's some pay-per-views that are so bad where you're just like, man, I really
Well, that's
wish.
the thing.
But this wasn't like that.
This wasn't bad. It was just
I was entertained.
weird.
I mean,
Felt like you needed to be on drugs.
How
to
much?
do this one.
How much do you think it was with the monkier of the show, like horror show? Like it felt like they really had to play up to that portion.
Maybe we got to go to break, but yeah, you may be right. That's and then
I didn't feel like they were so extreme this year.
No, they weren't that extreme. It was more of the horror show. So, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hit the pay-per-view that felt normal and was actually really good. Impact Wrestling Slammiversary happened on Saturday. A lot of surprises. We'll talk about that coming up next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. All right, so there's one. Okay, we're still connected. Good. I'm glad. All right, let's go number 2.
This is Chris Sabin, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. Speaking of surprises, of all the surprises that we were thinking were going to happen at Slammiversary, that's one that came out of left field.
I know, but I'm like a huge fan.
I know you are. I was
excited.
happy.
I was really excited for that. The only thing I could have asked for was for the old theme, but like the one that they used in like the TNA days.
That's the one I found. Yeah,
I know
maybe you're thinking there may have been maybe
like
a earlier.
Yeah. That's the only thing that was like the thing missing for me. But man, they still had it.
And, Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin returned at Slammiversary, beating the Rascals, which was in this case Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz.
Yeah, perfect.
Great
opposition.
match. Yeah, great match. Fantastic match.
Everybody was clicking, but man, their double team moves still look solid. All their tandem offense was great.
I saw somebody on Twitter, praising Alex Shelley for bringing back two great tag teams in 2 different companies so far in 2020.
Oh yeah,
because you got the Motor City Machine Guns back in Impact Wrestling, and he reunited with Kushida and Time Splitters in NXT.
I know, that was so cool.
So God bless Alex Shelley.
I know, he's part of like my 2 favorite tag teams.
Awesome,
it's crazy,
fantastic. And then you fast forward 48 hours because they announced at Slammiversary that, the North successfully defended their tag team titles against Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock. So
which was also fun to watch.
they announced that Machine Guns would take on the North. Fast forward 48 hours, main event. And we have new Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions for their second title reign.
I know. I can't believe
the Motor City Machine Guns. That's crazy.
I'm happy for them, but I mean, the North were just on this tear, man.
Well, they've been champions for over a year.
I know, but I felt like they could just keep it going. But I mean, I'm happy to see that it's going to be. I wonder how long Motor City Machine Guns are going to hang around.
I don't know. I hope a little while at least.
Yeah, especially with all these people coming.
Well, and Saban had been out for a long time with injuries and such. And Alex Shelley was talking about retiring.
Exactly. So I can't. Is this like the last hurrah?
But he did kind of make a farewell tour. He hit Ring of Honor, hit NXT. I think he even went to New Japan a couple times. So I hope they stick around for a little bit. So
yeah, because if they're getting the run, I would like to see them beat everybody in the company and then get built up real strong and then have whoever they feel needs that rub to get it.
Yeah.
But it's fun to have them back.
I agree. Kylie Ray becomes the number one contender for the Knockouts champion. The gauntlet match that was really a Rumble match.
Yeah,
that was probably one of the few drawbacks.
I was kind of confused at first.
Yeah,
this whole Tyra Valkyrie thing where she comes out like twice.
Well, it was Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
And then later he comes out as Rosemary.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Well, I was like, what is this about? I was like, this makes no sense.
That comes out of the James Ellsworth playbook there.
Yeah.
So, but take that away, and it was a fine match for what it was. It was a Rumble match.
Yeah.
So, but congratulations to Kylie Ray. The returns, besides the Motor City Machine Guns, we saw Heath, don't call him Slater. But now they're doing this thing where he's still, quote, not signed, and he's trying to sneak in. Yeah, he's still a free agent. That's sure, okay.
Still has kids, though.
He still has kids. We did see him backstage reunite with Rhino.
Yeah.
The first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
So
don't forget that.
Hopefully we get to see more of that later. Chris Bay is now your new X Division champion.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He's so good.
The whole match was good.
They were
really
both him and Willie Mack just fantastic. We've got to see him live. Chris Bay, he's wrestled here in town I think he's wrestled for Inspire. He's wrestled for Sabotage a few times. Just a real fantastic hand in the ring. Real good dude. So congratulations, Chris Bay. Deonna Purrazzo beating Jordan Grace, become the new Knockouts champion.
Man, the women's division is so good.
Oh, it's deep.
That was a really fun match.
Yeah, they were not pulling punches.
No, they went at it.
That might have been the match of the night.
Exactly what I was thinking. I was like, wow, man, they were physical.
They were not. They were working a little stiff.
Yeah, they were.
And then, and Purrazzo with that arm bar.
Yeah, that looked pretty vicious. And I was like, okay.
By the way, speaking of which, that's how you book a finish. WWE, take notice. You don't have to end every match with a surprise roll-up.
We'll give credit to Impact for going that and making her look strong.
Yeah, no kidding.
Making sure that if she's going to get over as champion, that she is believable.
She is very believable, as is Jordan. I hope we see a good rivalry with her and Grace.
We should get a rematch at some point.
Jordan is, she's a powerhouse, so I hope we see more of them. Let's see. Moose defeated Tommy Dreamer.
Whoa! Don't overlook that one because man, Moose looks so good in that match. Though.
It was a good one. It was a good one.
I mean, for Tommy,
Moose has come a long way.
But I forget how athletic he is.
Some
of the moves he was pulling off. I'm just like, he's a much older guy in comparison to some of the younger wrestlers coming through. So
plus, he's got 6 years of NFL.
Exactly. So to see him do some of the things still after getting the belt back, I felt like, he had maybe some injuries he might have been dealing with, but now he looks refreshed.
He does. He
just looks like a real champion.
He does. This character of being a wrestling god and carrying around that old TNA belt that they're not.
But it works.
But it works.
It's so believable. I'm like, okay, so he has got to be in line again for a major push somewhere down the line because he just looks so.
Yeah.
He made that match look amazing. He was so good last night.
He did.
That night.
Let's see, where was I? And then the fatal 4-way that became the fatal 5-way. I tell you, when they started coming out. So you had, it was
Ace Austin.
It was Ace and then Trey and then Eddie. And then we waited. And then number 4, which Rich Swann.
Yeah.
Which is a surprise because we had seen him earlier the night on crutches. He shows up. He didn't need the crutches, apparently.
No, you did the whole dance.
But then you're going, hold it. They kept saying it was going to be a surprise and it was going to be a former world champion. And they weren't meaning Eddie Edwards. So I was ready to see, like, the internet wrestling community just explode. And then the music hit. And here comes the world-class maniac, Eric Young. And then it was like, okay, all right, that's fine. All right, psych. We're good now. So, again, fantastic match for being
good.
For being a fatal 4, and it's hard to do with those multi-man matches.
I know, exactly.
But it was really good. In the end, Eddie Edwards, for the second time.
5-way.
Yes, it's fatal 5-way. Did I say 4-way?
Yeah.
Fatal 5-way.
It was a 4-way that turned into a 5-way.
Right. But Eddie Edwards, for the second time, becomes the Impact World Champion. So congrats to him. And you saw afterwards Ace Austin and Madman Fulton come out to attack him. And then here come the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
Gallows and Anderson making the save. They had announced at midnight on Saturday they had signed with Impact Wrestling. The deal is really good. They get flexibility to where they can go work New Japan. So could we see them coming back to the Bullet Club? We'll see. The evil era of the Bullet Club, I should say. So,
I mean, just when I thought Bullet Club was getting stale, I mean, that kind of goes into it.
They're starting to, Now let's see what happens when, all the travel restrictions are lifted and they get the full force back with Jay White and the Gorillas and who else am I thinking?
Well, they're missing a lot
Fale
of people.
and they're missing quite a few.
And it's just because of travel restrictions. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I was not ready to see Eddie Edwards win it. I thought really that Ace Austin might have been.
I think a lot of people did. A lot of people, and I think that may still be coming. This is, again, one of those, let's stretch the story out.
That's true.
I think they wanted.
I mean, who did you think that was going to win that match?
I really thought it was going to be Ace Austin.
Yeah,
it was either going to be Ace Austin or whoever the mystery person was
going to be.
I think part of this, and I'm saying this, I'm trying to say this from Impact's point of view, and this is again not to deride her, but this might have been to try to wash the taste of Tessa Blanchard out.
I can see that too.
Give the title someone they can rely on. Everything. By the way, if you believe rumor and innuendo, there's a story apparently that Tessa
pulled a Ric Flair,
wanted Impact to pay her $150,000 for her to send the original belt back.
Now the only thing,
and they said, forget it, we'll just make a new one.
I just assumed that there's not a deposit like there was.
I guess
before.
not. Yeah. Back in
the
old days. So back in the old days, like NWA and AWA, and I guess maybe WWF did too, but I know NWA and AWA did. If you were going to be champion, you had to put down a cash deposit for the belt to make sure you gave them the belt back. Now, Ric Flair, it was his belt, and Stan Hansen pulled he ran it over the old belt with the truck, the old AWA belt with the truck. But I don't know if they still do that now or not.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, $150,000. If you didn't put down a deposit, you're just extorting. That's not good of you.
Yeah, you're not. Tessa is immensely talented, but you're not Ric Flair.
Yeah.
You're not even your daddy.
No, not there yet.
Yeah, I could. You're not Tully. So, And then in the end, we saw the vignette with EC3.
Yeah.
And then again, fast forward 48 hours, Moose doing a, quote, defending the title, the TNA title, against Falaba, defeats Falaba. He's posing, post-match, doing the pose. Here comes EC3, hits him with the, I don't know what he's going to call it. I guess now it's his version of the Scorpion Death Drop.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then leaves. So I don't know if that means EC3 is going to go after Moose, or if this is just EC3, quote, controlling his narrative. I don't know. We'll see, though.
I don't know.
I'm interested.
I'm down to see them go at each other just because I think they would work well with each other.
I do, too.
But I'm assuming that EC3 being a former champion, they have to position him pretty strongly, especially when they had Brian Cage just a while back. Like, he can come in and fulfill that role. Yeah. And now that they're going to need somebody at the top of the card that's going to be, like you mentioned before,
a main eventer.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Eddie Edwards. I mean, he earned his spot, obviously, but it's just like, oh, you have EC3.
You need another. I mean, Eddie is a main eventer, but I mean, EC3 is too.
Yeah, but I was like, you had a guy that helped rebrand, like rebuild the company already once,
true.
And this is the guy. He's back, and now he has a different gimmick.
Yeah,
it's not
different.
It's not the same thing.
Nope.
Okay, so maybe if it can work, then yeah, you put him right back in the main event picture, and you hope that he still has the magic from the first time around, and it correlates the second time.
If his videos on Twitter and Instagram are any indication, I think he does, because those videos are catching a lot of eyes.
Yeah,
and they're well done, by the way. Whoever he hired as a video crew, fantastic job.
Yeah, give him a lot of credit.
Just good stuff. So.
But it was a really good pay-per-view for them, and hopefully they can build off of that because it's looked really positive for them so far.
It was a very good pay-per-view.
All things considered, especially all things considered.
Yeah, they had
without having your top title, really?
This one, vacant, right? Yeah. They even sent out a press release touting the social media records they had broken. They said, let's see, was the Twitter impressions Let's see. I'm trying to find the line here. Twitter. On Twitter, Slammiversary smashed Impact's record for single-day total impressions, which was reached Slammiversary 2018, nearly doubling the previous record by 97%. Leading the day was the exclusive midnight video announcement of the Good Brothers signing. Also, Instagram saw a 172% increase in single-day total likes compared to their previous record, which was hard to kill in 2020, the night Tessa got crowned as the world champion.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what happens when you put on good shows.
Yeah.
Like, you put on a good show like that, then people are going to talk about you for the right reasons.
They are, and it's good that it's happening.
And what does that tell you, though? Is that, like, hey, I know people were complaining, like, hey, why are you going to re-sign all these guys that were already there? And it's like, why aren't you pushing your young talent? But I'm like, they need those older people to come back and add legitimacy to those wins. So they're getting a nice mix.
Well, and it's not like they're signing. I mean, yes, they're signing former WWE talent, but these are talents that.
But some of them were theirs.
Some of them built the name in Impact or TNA.
Exactly. That's why the EC3 one works out really
EC3, well. Eric Young, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, who hadn't been to WWE outside of the brief appearance by Alex in NXT.
And this is like the one place that the Good Brothers hadn't been yet.
Right.
So this is like a chance to do something completely fresh for them.
Plus, these were all talents that were criminally underutilized. In their WWE runs.
Yeah, I mean, no offense. I mean, you're getting former WWE champions anyways in the Good Brothers.
Right. But, like, Deonna Purrazzo was barely seen outside of the NXT Florida loop.
Yeah.
You saw her on TV maybe half a dozen times. So all in all, Impact Wrestling, congrats to them. We are efforting to get some of the new signees. And we will let you know when that happens. So.
And again, a big thanks to our friends over at Fight TV.
Yeah, thanks to Fight TV for giving us the codes.
It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, we will work with them again. As always, we'll let you know when our next giveaway is. So we're going to take a quick time out. We've got a few more things to talk about before we wrap up. This is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, and this is The Horn. All right. Yeah, Impact Wrestling really they've done really well by us, between them and Fight TV, because I get their PR people reaching out saying, "Hey, would you like to talk to?" You know, and yeah, that's how we got Taya Valkyrie a couple weeks ago. We got Rohit Raju, got Trey before he was doing before the title match. I promised Trey I would send him this Whataburger spicy ketchup.
That's awesome, man.
I better send 3 bottles because I know Desmond and Zachary want some too.
You can't just send one. You gotta send them all
it's that night we took them to Whataburger after the Wrestle Circus show. So me and Luke Hawkins and who else was
those
it?
Boys.
It was me, Luke Hawkins,
Spoiled them.
Rich Bikini. We took him to the one down on South Congress.
Bikini. Wow,
Yeah,
I haven't seen that guy in a while.
I know
he's over in Florida.
He's in Florida. I forget what he's doing though. So, all right, let's do the last segment and wrap it up.
I was make it right now.
That's right. That's right.
Have you ever felt like you can't fight this voice inside your head? So if you and me, throw your fist up high and rise above the power line. We all once felt so blessed.
This is the worldwide desperado, the Callahan Death Machine himself, Sammy Callahan. And you're listening to the Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Thumbs up, thumbs down. No, actually, give them a thumbs up because they're pretty good.
Down all these walls that close in on you.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. Sammy Callahan does like us, believe it or not.
I was gonna say he really grew on me, and not just because of that, just like his in-ring stuff. Like I didn't get
His
it at
in-ring,
first.
yeah, his in-ring stuff. Yeah, it took, but you figured it out, and he's really good. And then yeah, he's a big fan of ours. So and
I'm a big fan of his now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He's always good to us. So a few other notes. First of all, Dark Side of the Ring fans, guess what? Season 1 is now available on Hulu. So that's the season they had the Von Erich story. You had the death of Gino Hernandez, which was Bruiser Brody. Of course, that was the one. It started with Bruiser Brody's death. So check those out.
I think you have Macho Man that year.
That was the Macho Man Elizabeth, right? What was the other? There was like 6 or 7 of them, but
I mean, it's well worth your time if you've never seen it before.
Yes. Absolutely. If you have not seen, if you've heard all about them, and you don't have access to Vice TV, here's your chance.
Well,
go to Hulu, check out season 1, and you will be won over. It is some of the best wrestling television, some of the best wrestling documentaries that are.
Let me tell you
put
all
out
a little
now.
secret though. Just like you're watching us, some of you all are watching us on YouTube. If you put into your search bar,
That's true. Sometimes you can see them.
More
Yeah,
than likely, you're probably going to pull up the whole first
Yeah.
season and probably going to pull up the second season too.
you might. But we're trying to get you to do the legitimate.
But
thing,
yeah,
so.
if you're going to go that route, just letting you know.
And like I say, if you're a subscriber to Hulu, they're on there. So check those out. We are anxiously awaiting them to do season 3. So, someone who we've had on our show a couple times and have had the privilege of talking to, Bobby Fulton of the legendary Fantastics. Sadly, he is back in the hospital.
Yeah.
His throat cancer has come back. His son Dylan has been posting updates. He had a surgery to close an artery that was bleeding out. He is apparently in pretty rough shape. So our thoughts and prayers to Bobby Fulton. He and Tommy Rogers were one of those tag teams now fashion themselves after. The run they had through Mid-South and World Class and Crockett, the NWA, those guys.
Yeah, the work of the Fantastics kind of gets lost to
It
time.
does.
Because
Well, they got overshadowed by the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll
basically,
Express.
that's all I'm getting at. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no, awesome tag team. Their work just gets overshadowed, and like
yeah.
the history talks because you think about that time period,
Yeah.
that place. It's instantly.
And
rock
Bobby
roll
Fulton,
midnight.
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh yeah, that's
when
for
I got
sure.
to meet him in 2016 in Fort Worth. It was really something to talk to him for a bit and just to hear some of the stories. It was really good. So let's hope that he can recover. So this week on Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor's has this podcast, ROH Strong. This week's episode, they have Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis Bennett. Notice I did not say Mike Kanellis. Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis Bennett are on this week's edition of ROH Strong, talking about their WWE release, quarantining, parenting. They also talk about Mike's recovery from addiction. And there's talk of maybe they get together with Taven. Maybe we bring back the original Kingdom.
Why not?
Kind of original. Adam Cole can't be there, but
but
still,
I'm still down to see him reunite with Taven
in a heartbeat.
I think that would be really good, especially since
Bennett and Taven.
Especially since the WWE run just was.
Well, again,
it just never
criminally underutilized.
I mean, but they were smart though. They went up and bought all the talent just to make sure that nobody else could get it, and those people got paid.
I'm sure they got paid. Yeah,
happiness at your job doesn't always constitute the paycheck.
Yes, this is true. So, but yeah, I would be all for Bennett and Taven and Maria reforming the Kingdom.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see, especially since we've seen all these other reformations of old tag teams before.
Absolutely. So,
did you like the Street Profits ode to Harlem Heat? By the way,
absolutely.
Wasn't that so cool?
That was fantastic.
I was always wondering what they used for the rings.
The 11-time tag team champions, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Cauliflower Alley Club honorees. I was there when that happened. Our friends Booker T and Stevie Ray. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, those guys are something else. That flying body press where Montez twisted midair.
Dude, I'm like, they're really good. They're really good.
They're just good.
I mean, that tag team division. So I mean,
it's getting better.
They keep on throwing tag teams together, but it works.
It does.
I mean, like Cesaro is like he can be put anywhere, and he's going to be great.
He is. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin the Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're proud to be part of the great lineup you hear every day. On the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns, we are The Horn. Catch us Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central on The Horn, or catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com, click on the On-Air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast platform. For Justin, I'm Stu. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time tonight. We will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!
And there we go. Done and done. Radio show's in.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us a lot to work with, though.
And it was perfect because we didn't have to do a podcast-only segment. There wasn't a whole lot of other stuff. We had a couple cards in New Japan that happened. And let's see what else.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only other thing that I can think of is just the
there
fact that
wasn't
Evil's
much.
champion.
There wasn't much.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, though. It's
what?
I really wanted to see Naito get a nice long run.
I know. I felt bad for Naito. I really do.
But I think he's going to get it back. I just think that they need to build up their in-house heels because they're missing all their foreign talent. So they had to do something like this.
Yeah. They. By the way, Brody King was something we didn't mention. Brody King, apparently he was on the latest edition of Week by Week. You go to Ring of Honor's YouTube channel, and they do kind of like they're checking in with everybody. Well, Brody King has cut a promo basically saying he is no longer a part of Villain Enterprises.
Oh, wow.
So he is going out on his own. So there you go.
Is that the blowback from the whole Skrull portion
I
of the
got
thing?
a feeling that might be part of it.
Which makes total sense. Oh, and what was the big thing that we didn't mention on the show, but I know for all the real wrestling fans out there, the whole NWA rumor was squashed, basically. Billy came back out and said, like, hey, no, we're not, we're not
Billy
closing.
Billy Corgan. Yeah, there were rumors floating around the NWA is going to shut down again. Billy Corgan was on a podcast.
And before we go into that portion of it, it seemed plausible because of what happened with Lagana.
Right.
Right. And then the fact that they were losing talent like Ricky Starks. You know, when you go from NWA to AEW, that's still a pretty big jump.
Right.
So to lose these guys that were already being featured as major players on their shows to a national card, and there was other talk about some unrest backstage and things like that. And I'm sure that obviously we're probably not hearing a whole lot of it because of the pandemic, but I'm also sure there's probably a lot of unrest because Lagana was a big portion of what was going on there.
Oh yeah, he was Billy Corgan's right-hand man.
Exactly.
Basically. He was the one that he was in charge of all the productions, all the video stuff they did. The thing they started, Carneyland, that was going to tie them over during the pandemic. You know, he was doing all that. So a lot of that had to be put on the back burner. But Billy Corgan has come out, I think it was on a podcast somewhere, and he has, squashed the rumor. He says, look, I'm still in charge of the NWA. Our talent's still under contract. We will be back as soon as we can. So
I was like, as long as he's not going broke personally, I'm pretty sure that since he's already put in so much time and effort to get a wrestling promotion, that if he can keep it afloat, that he probably will.
Well, and it might be just they're doing what Ring of Honor, MLW, who else? Well, that's the only other
New Japan
American
did it
ones.
for a really long time.
And up until recently, New Japan, they're not going to run shows during this pandemic. Ring of Honor hasn't run a show since February. MLW hasn't run a show since then, and the NWA. So,
which is a good reminder to go buy those T-shirts if you can afford to. Because some of that talent, some of them might have a shoot job, but I mean, people lost a lot of shoot jobs too during the pandemic, so they might not have anything.
Absolutely, yeah. Go to whether it's Pro Wrestling Tees, which is usually the primary source, but a lot of wrestlers have their own stores too. I think Ricky Starks is on another server. But if you find them on Twitter or Facebook or social media, and you'll see a link to their store, and then go buy the merch. Because that's how you support them.
The only other thing I could think of from this week, what was it? GCW saying they're having like a homecoming show or something.
Yeah, and ACH is booked.
Yes, that's awesome.
So glad to see ACH getting booked. GCW, who talk about an independent promotion that is really trying to make lemonade out of lemons. I would say another phrase, but
we're not on the
they're
radio.
running but they're running shows. They're doing the masks and social distancing,
trying
and everything.
To make chicken salad imitation chicken.
Something like that. So anyway, they've got the homecoming, and they're doing it's like two events.
Yeah.
But the first one, which is coming up, I believe it's this coming weekend, somewhere in the Midwest, and ACH, Austin's own ACH, is booked. So we'll see ACH back in the ring. That'll be fantastic.
Exactly.
I did share on Twitter last week, and I think the second episode will come out. So Justin Bissonette and Max Meehan, or Biss and Max from Inspire Pro Wrestling, they are doing a limited podcast going through the history of Inspire Pro Wrestling.
Oh, that's cool. That way you can actually understand everything that you might have missed out on.
Everything.
Like
they go all the way to the beginning when they came up with the idea of doing Inspire Pro Wrestling. So check that out. You can see it. Just follow. It's Inspire Pro Res on Twitter, and check that out. You'll see where it is, and we put it on our Twitter page, and I'll share it again, or check it out on Facebook. What else? Let's see. We didn't talk any AEW. Fight for the Fallen was great. John Moxley, still the AEW World Champion.
Yeah, I mean, the Sonny Kiss match was good.
Sonny Kiss and Cody Rhodes, that was a fantastic match. We saw a different side of Sonny Kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dustin and I had talked about this last week. Dustin is a huge fan of Sonny Kiss. And Sonny is just an immense talent.
Yeah, I was going to say Sonny, they're just a really well-rounded performer.
Oh, fantastic. Not to mention he came out with the Roar of the Jaguars, which hey, that's good stuff. But yeah, it was really good, and I think Sonny Kiss won a lot of fans.
Yeah, definitely.
After that match, so good stuff. By the way, I sent the clip, so Dustin and I talked about Ricky Starks, and Dustin had nothing but glowing things to say about Ricky. So I cut that piece out and sent it to Ricky, and he was pleased.
Well, that's
good. We expect nothing less from Dustin, and we know how good Ricky Starks is. As many matches as we've seen and called of his, it's good stuff. I will say this coming up tomorrow. So Jon Moxley appeared on the Dan Le Batard show on ESPN Radio. Talk about random. A lot of that's because Le Batard's based in Miami.
Okay.
He hyped tomorrow's episode of Dynamite. And this is the quote. So this Wednesday night is going to be an awesome show. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will tell you, I will give you this information. Tomorrow night on Dynamite, there will be a big surprise and one that made me exceedingly happy, especially for kind of the more hardcore fans that kind of follow the scene around the world. You're going to get a big surprise, and even for the more casual fans, it'll be an absolute treat to watch. End quote. So there you go.
We're going to see Mick Foley or what?
I don't know.
Tony Khan, out of Florida.
Tony Khan did tweet out that Cody will defend the TNT Championship against a top independent wrestler. Don't know who that is. Your guess is as good as mine. You go through the top independent promotions right now. GCW, AAW. Who else? Northeast Wrestling.
I was going to say, well, unfortunately, I mean, it's a good thing
for that matter. Let's talk. We'll talk Texas promotions. Inspire, VIP.
I was going to say the ones that are going to be standing after everything.
I think. Well, VIP is because they put out on Facebook. Sometimes I think it's September 25th. They're going to do Texas Mania 3. So I hope that happens.
I'm trying to think of really who's on the independent scene where I'm like, oh yeah, that's the person.
Oh, there's a myriad of.
I mean, there's a lot, but I'm trying to think of like one that really stands out, and it's hard for me to just tell you. I mean,
Ricky Shane Page out of GCW, maybe.
See, I just didn't think that would have enough hype behind
Alex Zane.
Maybe.
Spider Nate Webb. Nick Gage.
Oh, Nick Gage, possibly.
ACH.
It depends on how he wants to go about it.
Yeah.
Where does he want to be?
I'm trying to think. I'm going through my little mental list of GCW wrestlers that I remember from when they were here in Austin. Alex Zane.
I'm trying to think of.
Although I thought Alex Zane may have been doing some stuff with Ring of Honor.
I'm trying to think of who's on NWA that can jump around.
Trevor Murdoch.
But he wouldn't get me excited.
Let's see. Who else?
Like who's
Zicky Dice?
I'm like, who's like a relatively big independent name? I mean, right now I guess maybe this little holdover because of the pandemic hasn't helped, because it's like I think,
because we haven't seen independent wrestling in 4 months outside of what GCW is doing.
Not only that, it's just like there was already a change coming because a lot of the ones that were really good were getting signed just at the time. Like it was Keith and
Oh, by the way, we didn't get to talk about it last week. Keith Lee.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
The champ.
The champ, yeah.
I cried. Especially when he mentioned Killer.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh.
I mean, the guy's ready, obviously, to carry a company in a national.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that forever, but we're glad that WWE is finally recognizing it. So, I'll be interested to see who Cody faces.
His little friendship with Donovan, like.
I still call him Donovan Dijak.
Yeah.
I can't say his real name, Dijakovic or whatever. And apparently he's going to face Karrion Kross tomorrow night on NXT.
Which I'm down to see, because that should be a good match.
It should be a good match.
But I would
expect
like to
Kross will go over because it should eventually be Kross versus Keith.
Which I'm down for, but I would like to see Keith versus Donovan for the title just because.
It happened last week.
But like at a big pay-per-view.
Oh, well.
Just like to be a blow-off at some point.
I think it would be nice, but the problem with it is that even NXT has used that match
twice
multiple times
already.
No, it's at least 3 or 4 at least. Not unless let's not
It's just for stereotypes.
Now, granted, NXT Universe is a little more knowledgeable of what happens outside, But I mean, come on,
I
Keith
know,
Lee
I've seen it
and
1,000
Donovan Dijak.
times.
Yeah, we've seen. I think almost every independent promotion has booked that match
At least once.
sometime.
At least once, yeah. I mean, but to have it for a big title. at
We
a
saw it
big
at the first
pay-per-view would be
Wrestle
nice.
Circus show,
That's true.
but it'd be neat. Yeah. So,
Because I love callbacks.
not to mention, anytime I can see Scarlett Bordeaux coming out, if I were 20 years younger and muscular and inked up. And
I mean, if
all
you
that
were
good
just
stuff.
rich, I mean, that can
Or
make-
rich,
I
yeah.
mean, like that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that cuts the line through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. What else? What else are we missing? I think that's about it. Did we miss anything from the 2 pay-per-views? We covered all that.
Let us know. You let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. So,
I'm good. You good?
Yeah.
I'm good. You good? We're
yeah.
good.
So I tell you what, we'll just sign it off for now. Oh, and by the way, thanks to everybody that joined me for the watch along for Slammiversary. Apparently, there were something like 50 views of it.
Wow.
So hey, not bad for me sitting by myself and watching.
all those people that missed out on the Fight TV giveaway.
No, maybe. So
Hopefully they'll.
we'll do another one sometime soon. I thought I was not going to be able to do the things didn't work out where I could do one for Extreme Rules, which is okay because again, most of the night I was confused. So, but we'll do one again. We'll probably do it for SummerSlam. Yeah. So they did announce, by the way, Bound for Glory, Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory, October 20th.
Now, which is their WrestleMania?
Bound for Glory.
Bound for Glory, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
October 24th is Bound for Glory this year.
Because I was going to say it has to be coming up soon,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah,
one.
that's always
Okay.
in October. Last year was in Chicago.
This year, it's
Unless
in Canada.
this year, no, it's not in Canada.
They're
It's
just
gonna-
playing. It's
No,
not
they're
Canada.
doing because they're taping in Nashville.
Yeah.
So unless something happens where they can allow fans, my guess it'll look similar to Slammiversary. It'll be taped in Nashville, no fans. So
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to ask. How funny is it? I guess I should put this one on the radio because it's one of those topics. But how funny is it that these, like the NHL and the NBA, like they basically have like a home studio set up?
yeah,
Like-
they're bubbles.
Yeah, but they have like a studio set up like you see like in the NWA. Like essentially that's what they have
Yeah.
for a basketball court. It's just like a mini studio.
Yeah.
So it's like very old school pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh,
way that
absolutely.
they're setting up their television.
Right. Yeah. I saw the pictures from, I forget her name. I think she worked for ESPN. She showed the pictures of the NBA court where they're going to do games.
Yeah,
and it's very tight. Not a lot of stands. They got they've got chairs social distance, which is actually the bench.
But it
So
just
that's where the players are going to sit.
It just reminds me of like old school NWA. It's like, okay, this is where the
Yeah.
players are going to be, and then you can just get right to the court because it's so close.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. NBA kicks off next week.
Yes.
Right.
You'll start with a scrimmage of Lakers
Yeah.
versus Mavs, so I'm looking forward to that.
Baseball starts on Thursday. Yankees Nationals. Dr. Fauci will throw out the first pitch
Which
because
I'm
he's
cool
a huge Nats fan. So for the world champs.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and we're still waiting to hear about NFL and college. We know at least for now what high school football will look like. That's going to be interesting. You got some school, the big schools wait until September, and the small schools kick off normal, or at least.
Hey, you'll have a state championship after Christmas.
Yeah, but playoffs will be on Christmas.
I'm okay
Well, I
with
think
that.
I think I did see something where UIL will say no games on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And that's good. I'm glad, but also means you can still do them Christmas Eve, and Christmas falls on a Friday too, so that's going to be
Well,
really weird.
Well, I mean,
So third round,
I mean, what's more important?
maybe.
I mean, it's Texas.
I just thought of.
I know
Bucky-
they rank pretty high next to each other.
Again, I'm on the sideline reporter for Lake Travis with Mark Honing, Bucky Godbolt in the booth. Bucky has been going. He goes nuts every year about, hey, do we get to go back to South Padre? And it's always the third round that we meet that Lake Travis faces a Valley school.
Yeah.
And that was one of the times when we got to go to South Padre because Lake Travis played Los Fresnos, which is right there on Highway 100 leading onto South Padre. So who knows? Maybe get to spend Christmas on South Padre. We'll see. But let's sign off for now. Hey, thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, as I said, you can hear the show tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central on the Horn. The podcast will go out first thing in the morning. But for now, for Justin and Stu, thanks a lot, and we will see you next week.